We'll be back momentarily. Wow, look at that. Look at that. In the kitchen with Lisa. Would you like some pepper? We are in the kitchen today.
I got that on my 40th birthday from my friend Maggie. Yeah, there's some interesting shots with that pepper. That pepper mill's been through a lot.
She's been around the block.
She's been around the block.
Welcome to a special episode of the Tiffany Show. We are live in Lisa's kitchen. Lisa Dixon, baker, a leader in the arts community, an absolute beautiful soul. Today, we're making lemon cake and lemon curd.
Right?
Let's have a chat, friend.
Yeah, it's kind of a Beyonce theme, you know?
Oh, yes. Ain't no Texas. I'm not mad at that country album.
I am not mad
I'm not mad. All right, let's get cooking.
Okay. All right. Do you feel like baking?
I do feel like bacon. A
Okay.
little lemon cake. What are we creaming? Some butter and sugar?
You got it, girl. Butter and sugar. Just start creaming that and you've got yourself a cake. I left the eggs at room temperature for hours.
What?
I've got a mixture of buttermilk and sour cream here that's been out.
Oh.
Get it at room temperature together. Butter, milk, or sour cream, eggs. So by the time it gets into your hot oven, your cake, it bakes better. And it also reacts to the baking soda better.
Really?
Yeah, room temperature.
I gotta start doing that.
When you make the lemon curd, cold butter is better.
Oh, Lisa, you big in the arts community.
Yeah.
You were a baker. You've always been a baker?
So I went to school for patisserie. So I studied baking. Yeah.
Where?
I did it at Algonquin in Ottawa.
Neat.
So I was at Ottawa U and I was studying classical studies, art history, archaeology, and I ended up working in a bakery and falling in love with food. So once I was done my degree at Ottawa U, I went into baking. And then I loved that so much I went into studying it at Algonquin. And then after that, I went to Cordon Bleu to do what's known as les saisons de plaisir, which is looking at, for 1 year, as many things of cooking that you could possibly do. They don't have that program anymore, but it was great because I had one kid who was pregnant with my second by the time I was done that course, and I was able to do a Cordon Bleu course in 1 year. In that program at Cordon, they taught you everything: baking, shellfish, and gardening.
What?
Mm-hmm.
This course needs to come back.
I know. Les saisons de plaisir. Like, we looked at everything. It was great.
Is it the seasons of pleasure? Is that French for, see, I didn't lose my French.
Yeah. Well, you've got your Italian in there, so you've got your language.
Yeah, there, I can pick it up.
Yeah. And gardening is so important, or growing before you hit the kitchen, what's in your garden, and then use what's in your garden, right? And then it's also therapeutic. So we learned a lot about smelling herbs, how to get them into the food. It's good.
You seem to always have that like sustainability theme in all you do. Is that something that was like bred into you, or has this come out of your passion for food?
A little bit of both, but excuse me, definitely the passion of food.
Yeah.
But we did grow up in nature as kids. So I just assumed everybody had. So it's really important to look at what's around you and see how you can use it.
Do you can too?
I don't too much. If I get a case of something from the farmer or a bushel of something, I'll can it. So now that I don't own black honey, I think I will. I've been collecting jars and I may do it this fall.
I'll can with you.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good.
You know what? My Nona did it. I have my own garden.
It's living it and making it your lifestyle. So yeah, we should do that this fall, kind of a late fall, because that's the best time to get everything in the jars. Better in the fall that comes out of the ground. The tomatoes have soaked up the sun all summer.
Something special
The basil's
about that.
perfect. Yeah, definitely do that. That sounds good.
So you're black honey retired.
Black honey retired. It was 18 years of absolute heaven. I loved it.
18 years.
I loved it. Yeah. Yeah. And even through COVID, black honey stayed. I mean, it kept going. I mean, obviously we closed the coffee house, but we kept the bakery going. A couple of staff and I sent 24 staff home, but it's like, oh my gosh, that was a lot of people. And it was so hard. That was really tough.
I think that was one of the toughest things for entrepreneurs was handling the staff.
And just
'cause
everybody.
You know your lives, right? Like
Yeah.
when you're a business owner, you have all of these other lives that you're responsible
Always
for,
thinking
right?
about them.
Yeah.
But it worked out through a lot of hard work. So we ended up getting back on our feet and having a really strong business. You know, when I sold it, we were back to 24, 25 staff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the bakery was going strong. And
I gotta say, I actually met the new owner, Jen.
Jen, yeah.
Her and I had been Facebook friends before she bought Black Honey.
Okay, yeah.
And then I think I kind of met her through Chamber Days, just the business community.
Okay.
And a couple weeks ago, I'm hanging out at the dog park. And she's there with her dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's doing great too. Like when you do sell a business or move on from a business, naturally it's hard because that was your baby. You spent 18 years building that,
definitely
right?
Hard. Yeah.
So kind of to watch and see somebody else like carry on that legacy in the beautiful ways that you appreciated and respected food. How did you pick Jen to go to be the next Black Honey owner?
So when I put it up for sale, I call her JJ. Jen was working. Yeah. Well, because we had a lot of Jen. She was one of our catering staff. So there was a couple of other Jens. So we called her JJ. And she worked full time doing something completely different, but said, "Hey, can I cater with you?" So she knew a lot about Black Honey when it was up for sale. So that's how that worked. Yeah. So she
already believed in.
She already saw something she really liked. 3 summers ago, we did 30 weddings. And that was that hiccup coming out of COVID where everyone's like, please. I think coming out of COVID, I was just desperate for the work.
The busyness.
And to pick up the business where I had lost.
Right.
So I took it. Now last year I think we really did like 18, 17 weddings. It was perfect.
Oh, that seems very manageable.
Yeah. And I would suggest, and I think that's where JJ's going to go, is get a lot of weddings because they're really fun.
Yeah. It's a bit of a party, right?
That's another thing. You want to not lose who your clients are.
Make those impressions because you get the weddings and there's so many people at a wedding, right? And then it's like, oh, we got to order the food that was at Jack and Jill's wedding because that place was amazing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I've been to several weddings actually that you've catered.
Yes, I do. I see you. I'm always so busy. Like I don't come out and say hi, but sometimes I have a chance.
Like ships.
Yeah. So when I was in university, and then I ended up getting into cooking, and by the time I was pretty good at it, I got hired at a catering company. So I had worked in restaurants doing desserts when I was raising the kids. But it was the catering that I really fell in love with. And it was meeting this woman, Sheila, who owns Time and Again Catering in Ottawa. She still has it.
Really?
I still call her for advice.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she's amazing. And she helped me. I worked for her for 9 years. So I baked for her, but I ended up doing a lot of catering gigs. Loved it.
So what do you think was what was behind the love? Like, was it the fact that like naturally you're a bit of an artist, so you kind of like the flexibility, the creativity, the social?
Yeah, it's, we make fun of Martha Stewart, but it's a lot
I love Martha Stewart.
She's the queen.
She is the queen. I love that she went to jail too. Don't judge me for that. I love it. You know what? That's right.
I love how she hangs out with Snoop.
Me too. Yeah. You know what? Martha Stewart's cookbooks hang out with Snoop Dogg's cookbooks in my kitchen on the top shelf.
Perfect.
Yep, I love both of them. Good human beings.
She really got me understanding that when you prepare food, it's not what you want, it's what the client wants, right? Oh. So, and the client could be your 5 kids. Yep. It could be your partner. A long time ago, I used to make fun of her because she would say, Andy likes his steak rare. And that was her husband. It's just like, who cares about Andy? But I see what she was doing. She was aware of someone else's needs and she was facilitating it and getting it out. And as a caterer, whether she was doing 18 or 180 people, she was aware of the needs and she did it with beauty and care and setting the table, like from beginning to end. It was like that production. Yes. I love that about catering.
When I was a little girl, I watched Martha Stewart and it was the same situation, right? Because she would also do the crafts.
Yeah.
And like, I love her most recent stuff, like especially, but she really influenced me growing up. It's like Martha Stewart, Oprah Winfrey, If I could just
Yeah.
harness the two of those
Yeah,
together
me too
and
with
mix them,
okra.
right?
Yeah.
I just love, but she's also spicy, has her own personality.
She
and
does
then
have her own personality. She
built
can
an
be and she
empire.
got that from her mother. Of course,
Oh,
you've
really?
seen with her mom. Have you ever seen her?
No.
Oh, you should see YouTube anytime she's cooking with her mom.
Oh,
her mom is bossy. Woo!
really?
And it's so cute because she ends up going, "Okay, mom, you're right. I'm sorry." And Martha doesn't do that with anybody.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm totally
yeah.
going to watch that.
Yeah.
It was the Snoop Dogg Martha specials that I love, the Snoop Martha dinner parties.
Yeah.
And then they would sit around the table and eat what they cooked, but also offer etiquette advice
Yes.
for other dinner parties.
Yeah.
I got so much from those
Yeah.
shows.
Yep, that's really important too. The sitting down and eating, the fellowship.
I agree. Are you like a Sunday family dinner kind of gal?
We always had the kids sitting down,
Yep.
and then my mom always had us over for Sunday dinner when my kids were growing up.
I'd love to do that.
So we do that with our kids still. They come over, and it could be anything. Like you probably saw dinner because Thomas turned 2, his dog.
Yeah, I did with the cupcakes. Yes.
Anybody's birthday. You know, if we're not going out, we're eating here.
I love
Just gonna put
that.
this in the sink. I'll be right there. We are kind of a mixture, but what's beautiful is my dad's dad was born probably, so he would have been an old man if he was alive today. He was actually in the First World War, Papa George Dixon.
Oh, wow.
So he was born just after the emancipation of slavery. So he was born from slaves. I know that seems really weird, but he was, right? Because he was born just before 1900.
Wow.
And of course, emancipation of slavery was 1856, I think. So, and then his family traveled to the east, St. John, New Brunswick, but they were just outside Halifax. So there was Africville, there was Indiantown. That was all in Nova Scotia.
Interesting.
And my grandma, which is known as Mama Dixon, she was, again, we're not too sure again, but we're thinking Native or Australian Aboriginal.
Oh, interesting.
Because her father came over from Australia and she was a goldsmith. They had 11 kids and one of them was my dad.
Oh my goodness. To know your roots, how special your family tree.
It would be nice to know a little bit more about Mama Dixon, but you know, in those days, they kind of erased people of color a lot. So if they came over on a ship, it's like, who knows what this kid, and then, so he had landed in Indiantown in Nova Scotia and then had Mama. My mom's side is Scottish and Irish. There's very strong Irish roots. So we've actually gone to Ireland to where my grandfather is from. And that's really interesting.
That's on my list.
We're going back this fall.
Yeah? This fall?
Yeah. So we'll have to do the tomatoes after I come back from
we'll
Ireland.
do it. Yes, when we get back. Absolutely. My grandparents, I don't know where, I'm pretty... All I know is that my family came from a little village in Italy called Sapino. Okay. And it was up in the mountains. And the house was built into the mountain.
Okay, which is common in the mountains.
The stove was clay.
Yeah.
And that is on, and apparently they used to go to church on Sundays and the entire village would walk together and they would all link arms and walk together to church.
Well, they were probably related too. You know, like somebody was married to somebody generations ago. That's beautiful. Have you tried? You should go there because
it's on my bucket list.
I've eaten pizza coming out of the mountains of northern France, but it was just near Italy, and the pizza came out of an oven. We sat there watching a kid make, and we drank wine. I remember we didn't have a lot of money, but that was the experience I wanted.
Yes.
So we climbed up this mountain, and there was this cafe in the side of a mountain.
You're well traveled.
Well, I did that before I had kids, so that kind of helped. But
how many countries have you visited?
Oh gosh, not many, but definitely a few. Like a lot of Europe. Like I lived in Europe for
Europe?
Just a few months.
Not even just a few months, for a few months?
Yeah.
Like Amsterdam? Like, did you kind of do the Amsterdam, Paris, Italy?
I made a mistake and kind of fell in love with France. So I had
with your cooking. That makes sense.
I kept going back to Paris. I'd go somewhere and then I'd go back to Paris. I'd go somewhere else. So I'd go to the south. I'd go to Italy. I did a lot of France. A lot of south of France, but I kept going back to Paris. So unfortunately, I never made it to Spain. I went to Germany, but again, just for 2 days. It's it's not bad here. I like it. Oh, beer is good.
Back to Paris.
Paris. Gotta go back to Paris. And I was 18 or 19 and I had already fallen in love with Mark. And I left him in Ottawa. Well, I didn't leave him, but I didn't want him with me. It was me and two girls, traveling the girl thing. Where else did we go? Oh, we went to Monaco. We did fun things. In those days, you could hitchhike.
Oh, yeah, you could.
So I'm 55, almost 56.
Oh,
and
wow.
So when I was 18, 19, no one said we couldn't.
Right.
So we did some really, we slept on the side of the road.
What?
If we couldn't get a car, it's we'll just sleep.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And
yeah,
then we'd
different
wake up
times.
Now I never put my thumb up. I always had my blonde, cute girlfriend put her thumb up.
That's a good idea.
Me and the other girls would be laying on our knapsacks. Because she'd get the ride.
Oh, yeah.
But it worked. And then me and the other girl would pop up.
You got room for two more?
Bonjour. Are you going this way? Yeah, we met some cool people doing that. And then I did have a job. I was working as an archaeologist in the south of France.
I'm sorry, what?
And it's funny because that's where I learned how much I loved cooking. Many times I learned that I love cooking. Was the archaeological dig was fascinating, but I learned I didn't really like it because I was thinking that's why I went to university, was to be an archaeologist. And so I volunteered to do the cooking to get out of digging.
Oh my gosh, brilliant.
It was really beautiful. It was in a cave, and that's where we met Jean Houle, the woman who wrote The Clan of the Cave Bear.
Oh my gosh.
She studied there to write her books. She had already written that book.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a whole other story. So what I would do is wake up early in the morning and I would go down to the village garden, and these women were hired to give me food. So eggplants or tomatoes and herbs. And then I'd get the eggs and the whatever I wanted, potatoes. And then I'd make the lunch and carry it. It was in a mountain, up the mountain. And when it was lunchtime, and Europeans, when it's lunchtime, you don't go, you sit down, you open up bottles of Pernod, and you mix it with water because you don't want to get too drunk. And then we would have a nap. It's what do we do? And people just go lay down in the woods or in the cave, as long as we didn't disrupt.
I want some of that life.
Yeah.
I want some of that
then
life.
We worked for maybe an hour and a half and then went home. So I learned quite quickly, okay, I got to get out of the digging part because this is monotonous and I'm not going to be an archaeologist.
Right.
Decided that pretty quickly.
Wow.
And got into the cooking.
Now, did that experience come before your enrollment in school for archaeology? Or were you kind of already in that space and then took
That was in my fourth year. So
oh my gosh, in your fourth year.
I was kind of screwed.
Did you get pushback from your parents? Just usually the story is late.
No, I just finished the degree and I actually started.
You still finished it?
Oh yeah, and then I actually started a master's and did not finish that.
Wow.
By the time I had my third kid, I went back to school to do my master's. By then I already had my patisserie and my cordon bleu work. I thought, okay, I want to be a chef, but I went back to school thinking I still want to try a little bit more university, but I didn't like it.
No. Here, what's on the next thing? So we got our batter all mixed
you ready
up
for
here.
More coffee?
Oh yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And the milk's there if you want it.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, yeah. You know what? The batter's done, and I'll send you the recipe, Tiffany, just so any of your friends that watch this, they can make it. But the batter, as long as it's got a nice gloss to it, it's good.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And I put lots of lemon zest in it, a little bit of lemon juice.
Oh, yeah.
It's a really easy recipe. It's 4 eggs, just under a cup of butter.
Oh.
Buttermilk, sour cream. That makes it that nice tartness.
Yep.
Flour and baking soda and a bit of salt. Okay, so what I did was I already made the cake. Okay. Excuse me as I go, I'm going to pull Martha Stewart and go into my cupboard.
We're going to go into the cellar and pull out the full product.
So I made this last night, and this batter that I made, the 4-egg, 3/4 cup batter,
that's beautiful.
2 cakes.
Beautiful.
That lemon curd?
Yeah, let's do this.
Okay, if we move closer to...
I'll back this up.
Okay, perfect.
Please continue to hold, viewers. We're just going to back up.
I'm going to wash my hands.
Yep.
Lisa's washing her hands, everybody.
Washing her hands.
Lisa's washing her hands.
I might tilt this forward just a little bit here. And then we get a little bit of that. Maybe it won't cut off our heads. We'll see. Is it going to cut off our heads? No, it's fine.
That's fine.
That's fine.
Okay. So I have 2 things going here. I made a simple syrup. So that's 1 part sugar, 1 part water. And I put a bit of lemon juice. So that I'll brush my cake with and make it nice and moist. And then I am making the most simple lemon curd in the world. So it is sugar, lemon juice. Don't worry about if there's any pits or bits in it because we'll strain it.
Oh, right. Wow, what is that?
This is really easy. I mean,
what is that? I want that
I
tool.
think I inherited this from my mom.
What was your mom's name?
Linda. Yeah. She was an amazing woman and really well known here in Peterborough. She moved here to be a chaplain at what used to be St. Joe's.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. She was a lover of arts, and actually when she passed away, we had so much artwork. We ended up picking friends and giving them to all her dear friends. You know, some of us kept the odd piece, but she loved art just as much as I do. So she had a plot purchased up here on the hill. Up right at Little Lake, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So when we go for walks, we'll go and visit her. But she explained to us how she bought plots for me and Mark and my brothers as well. So I don't know if we're all planning to get married there, but just so you know, if you want to visit me, that's where
I will visit you.
That's where I'll be. Okay, lemon curd is one of those things, or any type of curd. If you do it on direct heat, you kind of want to be careful of the fact that there's eggs in here. The sugar and lemon juice will keep it cooking, but if it cooks too fast, the eggs turn into scrambled eggs mixed with. So make sure to keep stirring it. I'm doing it on high heat. Some recipes will say to do it over a bain-marie, like a warm water bath, but to me that takes too long. So we're just going to do it on high heat while we're talking. This does take a few minutes, but do not leave it. Like, keep stirring. This is a good time to use cold butter.
Right.
When it starts to cook, and just when I'm taking it off the heat, I add the butter. It melts and it cools down the curd. I always sieve it. Even my little lemon seeds are going to get sieved. When it cools, it thickens, so it's really nice as a sauce. We'll quickly ice a cake, and then we'll eat cake. Chatting here.
Let's go by the fire.
Okay,
let's just gonna hit pause. All right, let them eat cake.
All through high school, I knew I wanted to be a business person. I loved all my classes. I knew I was going to go to university, but I knew someday I wanted to run my business. I could tell by watching my parents because they ran their own business. The concept, right?
Makes
like
sense.
Their bosses were kind of more organic. Like the diocese of the Anglican Church was my dad's boss, but he ran the place.
Right.
And my mom was a teacher and then became a deaf and dying therapist. So she had her own business as a therapist. And she did it out of an office. And she also ran something called the Daily Bread. And it was a food bank and a clothing store for people that were marginalized. You're thinking Daily Bread, I know that. Toronto Daily Bread took that model that my mom created in London, Ontario, and made the Daily Bread food bank that's in Toronto.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And it honestly speaks to who you are as well, because I've found you're quite like mission based. Take care of people.
Because I am what I believe is right. And that's what I'm doing in the legacy of my parents, right? COVID was tough, but I'd have to say personally, a really tough time that I didn't see coming was my husband, Mark, who you've met. He was diagnosed, it's been over 11 years now, he was diagnosed with AML. He was not feeling well 4 weeks into it. We finally got some help, but the diagnosis took a while, and AML is acute myeloid leukemia. And PRHCER flew him to Princess Margaret. They finally figured out what was wrong with him. He has AML, and they were just ashen white, scared, the people in ER. And my mom came knowing, because being in the hospital, he was in big trouble. She was carefully trying to explain to me. Because I'm like, leukemia, lots of people have leukemia. And she's like, AML's a little bit different, hon. So anyway, he went to Princess Margaret. They got him kind of settled, got him morphine and IV. And then they gave him this type of treatment that was new. It's called a push and pull, where they put tons and tons of chemo through his blood. The nurses wore 3 gloves to hold the bags of the chemo. And they pushed it through him for 7 days and pushed it out. So hence why I support Canadian blood donation, because if it wasn't for people donating blood, there would be no blood.
Absolutely.
Market Dad's like, he's okay. It all worked out. They figured it out. And it's like, He's going to be okay. It was just,
Wow.
dying and then not dying.
Yeah.
I
Holy.
think that was the biggest test because I went through emergency feeling and getting it all done and running the business and making sure the kids are okay, cleaning the house, going back to, and then maybe about months later, I had this feeling of what just happened. And I went to therapy.
Yeah.
And my therapist called it the burning house syndrome, where when the house is burning, you don't think, woe is me, how am I going to get through this? You think about everything else that needs to be done. You get out your passport, or you get out the kids, or you get out the dog, the cat. And then later it's like, oh, my house burnt down. And I should be happy because we're all alive, but I lost a lot.
Yeah.
And that was probably the hardest thing because I didn't want to run the business anymore. I didn't even want to have a husband and kids. I just wanted to feel sorry for myself.
Right.
It was a really weird feeling because it's like, why do I feel Mark's alive? Like everything's okay.
The tank was empty.
The tank was empty. I lost my, and that took a while. And that was about 11 years ago, a little over 11 years ago. I think that was the hardest thing in my life. A lot of great people in the arts community were supportive.
This community, honestly, is just something so special.
Amazing. I love Peterborough.
Lisa, Peterborough loves you.
Oh, thanks. I
Thank
feel it.
you.
Yeah, I feel it. You ready to eat cake?
Yeah, let's eat some cake.
All right.
Bon appetit. Lisa Dixon, cheers to you. Thank you for sharing a bit of your heart and story with us.
You are welcome. The food's still warm. Oh my God.
Oh,
that's good. This is probably my favorite.
Amazing. Lisa Dixon. This has been a fantastic, delicious, tasty episode of The Tiffany Show. What can we expect to see from you next? Just chilled out retirement, supporting the arts community happiness?
It's called Upbeat. It's with the Kawartha Youth Orchestra.
Oh.
And it's an after-school program. We're looking for donations.
Oh, we are. All right. Let's call it out.
It's an after-school program it's free.
What?
And the children learn violin, cello, and voice. And get this is even better. They get fed a full meal. I don't want to sound drastic here. We need money. We did get a donation from Swish. Thank you so much, Swish. But we need another few $1,000 to continue the program. So I do that. I keep teaching at Fleming, which I want to do forever. I love that. And then the other thing I love, and I'm making it like a little business, is I'm consulting.
Lisa Dixon, thank you for sharing your beautiful home with us today.
Glad you were here.
Full of beautiful artwork I also have. There's art everywhere in this home.
You should see the basement.
I might take a peek.
Yeah.
This has been an episode of The Tiffany Show. Cheers to you, Lisa Dixon, and your beautiful soul. Thank you for everything you've done for our community. Go out there, stay kind, keep going, all that good stuff. We love you. PTBO, Kawarthas. Bye.
Looking to sell your home or cottage? You want to work with someone who knows the market inside and out. Hi, I'm Sarah Evans, born and raised in Peterborough, Ontario. I am very proud to call this great community home. If you are thinking of selling your home, I will find a buyer for you. Contact me today and I can promise to exceed your expectations. 705-768-6278 or visit sarahevans.ca.
Not intended to solicit those currently under contract.